with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy. Lethargy means laziness. Fight. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious, to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute this order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mayi, or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become vigata jwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy, which means laziness. Become vigata jwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above, that will lead one to the path of liberation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this is a very nice verse and wonderful purport. And it says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirasi nirmamo bhutva yudyasva vigata jvara. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship and free from lethargy. Right. Okay, so when a devotee surrenders to the Lord, it means that everything he does is for the benefit of the Lord. And he has knowledge of the Lord. In fact, here it says, full knowledge of the Lord, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy. Then he can fight or he can serve the Lord in a proper way. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. Yeah, in other words, he didn't have to argue with the Lord. Well, is this really right? I'm not really sure this is the right thing to do. There was no discussion like that. So Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the Lord, but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mai, or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship. That reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become vigata jwara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular second has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. Hare Krishna. Jai. Oops, what is this? Sorry. Hare Krishna. One second. What day is it today?
Thursday, Maharaj.
Yeah, so where does the food truck go today?
Redmond.
Yeah, the food truck will go to Redmond to the what is the name of that place? Yeah, one second.
It's called very good.
Keep forgetting the name of the place.
It is 16305 Together Center, Redmond.
Together Center in Redmond. You know where that is? You know where that is? Well, he'll be there at.
It's already there.
Yeah, it's already there.
6:30 onwards.
Between 6:30 and 8:30. You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so now what we're hearing in this verse, Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasyat Ma Chetasa Nirasir Nirmamo Bhutva Yudyasva Vikatajwara. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Well, this is the position of being completely surrendered to the Lord. And that should be our real purpose in life, to surrender ourselves completely to the service of Krishna without any personal motive or any way of wanting to be compensated for what you're doing. And what else do you say?
Proprietorship.
Or proprietorship. Yeah. So therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Okay, so this is what you would say. It's like army discipline. You can't say no to the captain, right? You have to follow the orders of the captain. Otherwise, you can be put in jail, and you can be also prosecuted for being AWOL or not following the order of the captain or whatever. So that's called military discipline. So when a devotee is engaged in devotional service, it's something like being in military discipline. And when one receives an order, it may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of a living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Well, that's a very big statement, constitutional position. That means that it is who we actually are. We are subordinate to the Lord, and our duty is to always be engaged in the service of the Lord without being lazy, without being inattentive, etc., with full attention and full vigor, engaged in accomplishing the desires of the Lord. Okay, so therefore it says the living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Now, this is a major point that is not taught in schools. Maybe in some, maybe in Catholic school. I don't know if they teach it so clearly like this, but maybe. But definitely not in public schools. They don't talk like this. No way. So maybe in the Muslim schools, maybe. But here it's very, very clear that the uh, um, this verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. That's a very big statement right there. Military discipline means if you don't do what the sergeant tells you to do, you can end up in the jail, in military jail, and you can be prosecuted and thrown out without any, you know, a dishonorable discharge. That's like terrible. But so we should never say no to Krishna. We should never say no to the spiritual master also. Because
there was a verse Maharaj few days back came, like few weeks back came, where Prabhupada said, whenever the instruction comes, we should say yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I'm forgetting which verse, but
No. Okay, maybe you'll find it.
I can search.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say no. Otherwise, you're not really a devotee, right? You can say no to people that want you to do something sinful. Then that's the correct time to say no. But you can't say no to a direct order by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's going to create a lot of problems in your life and in your relationship with Krishna. Well, there's this one thing. Theirs is not to. Is it not? Theirs is not to doubt. Theirs is just do or die, something like that. There's some statement I forget now. Anyway, so Krishna is advising Arjuna here to surrender all his works to Krishna, to himself, with full knowledge of Krishna, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, meaning laziness. Fight. Okay, so this is the direct order from Krishna to Arjuna. And obviously, because Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, he's going to follow this in every detail as the Lord wants him to act. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, this verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things, okay, so there is some subtle difference between the word order and injunction. Why don't you look up the word injunction? Injunction has a heavy responsibility to it. It's not just an order, it's something that you cannot say no to.
Junction is a court order.
A what?
Court
Court, okay.
order that requires a party to do or stop doing a specific action. It can be temporary or permanent and can be used to prohibit a party from performing a certain act or to require them to do so.
Yeah, you can't say no to the injunction.
An authoritative warning or order.
Yeah. So, and it says this verse indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? The one has to follow Krishna's instructions and discharge duties as if in military discipline. Well, if you say no to the sergeant, he can put you in jail.
An injunction.
Yeah. So it's very serious. Krishna consciousness is very serious, especially for an initiated devotee. If he does not say yes to direct orders, then it's very serious. Like, for example, saying no to Prabhupada. If Prabhupada gave a direct order to a devotee and the devotee argued with him or said no, that was very serious aparad. Now, one time, I did say no to Prabhupada, but it was not that we were arguing. I had just come to England to see Prabhupada, and I took the what's it called? Hovercraft, yeah. To come from France to London. Well, not London, but to
England.
huh?
England?
No, what is the name of that dock that we came to? Anyway, from what? Anyway, from one uh, uh, town in northern France to England. And I took the hovercraft from Boulogne. Yeah, that was in northern France. To where was it? What's the name of that place? Well, anyway, from Boulogne to a town, a town on the in England. And when I was going to come back, uh, Prabhupada said, "So you're going to go?" He said, "What did he say?" So I came from Bologna to a town in England, but there was bad weather that day. Well, it was bad weather when I was going to go back. And Prabhupada said, that, "Are you going to go back to this other town?" And I said, "No, Prabhupada." I said, "The hover cab always goes from Bologna to, I forget the town in England." And I said no to Prabhupada, right? So when I got to the place where you catch the hovercraft, there was an announcement that due to bad weather, the hovercraft was not going to go to Bologna. It's going to go to another place in France. And I was shocked when they said that, right? Let's see, what did Prabhupada say? Uh, that place in France. Okay, I forget right now. Anyway, Prabhupada said I was going to go to this other town in France. And I said, "No, Prabhupada, hovercraft doesn't go there." And he asked me, "So are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, Prabhupada, it never goes there, right?" So when I get to the place to catch the hovercraft to go back to France, it said, "Well, that day, because of bad weather, it was not going to go to Bologna. It was going to go to some other place that Prabhupada said," right? And I was shocked when I heard that. And I realized never say no to Prabhupada. Yeah, I was so sure that, the hovercraft would go back the same way that it came, but because there was bad weather, it went somewhere else. But Prabhupada named that town that it would go to. Uh, I forget now. Anyway, then I learned my lesson. Never say no to Prabhupada. That's a big mistake. Yeah. Okay, so this verse clearly indicates the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. Well, what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? The Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to discharge duties, as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of a living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute this order. There's a famous saying, theirs is not to question why. Theirs is but to do or die. It's the famous saying. I forget now who said it, but it's a very famous saying. So yeah, when you're in the army, you don't question, hey, why are you giving me this order, Captain? No, our the order is given. You have to do whatever is said, even if it means that you might die. You still have to do it. So it says here, the Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetas. So there's a little pun there when it says one who depends solely, but that's SOLEY, solely, SOLELY, and holy, WHOLLY. It's not holy, HOLY, right? The one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitive results.
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Huh?
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Oh, he's the one that said that.
Yeah.
Theirs is but to do or die. Theirs is not to question why. Alfred Tennyson. Yeah.
There's not to make reply. There's not to reason why. There's but to do or die.
Harivilas. There it is.
There's but to do and die. Are lines from Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem.
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Tennyson's poem.
Yeah.
The Charge of the Light Brigade.
Harivilas. Alfred Lord Tennyson, right. Okay, well, that's military discipline. And in Krishna consciousness, we have to act as if in military discipline and the discharge of our duties. Okay. And why? Because the living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. That's a very important statement. That's what our constitutional position is. So, constitutional position is who we are really and what we are really meant to do. So, therefore, we can't argue with it. You just have to do it. So, if someone becomes a devotee and takes the vows of a devotee, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and always chanting 16 good rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, etc. Well, those are vows that we take, and we can't compromise those vows. We can't say, well, today I'm not going to chant my round. No, we have to. I mean, if you say something like that, today I'm not going to chant my round, that means that you're not really serious. That we have to be very careful about following the vows that we have made. So and then when you get initiated, the guru says, okay, well, what are the principles that you have to follow? Oh, well, no meat, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. Okay, so uh, that's a vow that you make, and it has to be maintained throughout the rest of your life. So one time, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was still a young boy, he took a mango, didn't offer it to Krishna, and ate it. And then, when I guess his parents saw that, they mentioned that to him, and then he took a vow: "I'll never eat mango again." And that was when he was just a kid. And the rest of his life, he never ate mango. But that just showed how serious he was. And in many ways, he was very, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very, very austere. Before he actually started preaching very, let's say, intensely, I think he spent several years very intensely chanting Hare Krishna. He didn't just do 16 rounds, he did 100 or 200 rounds. You know. And he would only have some rice or something like that, but he would throw it on the ground, and then with his hands behind his back and on his knees, he would eat it without his hands. Right? It's very austere for a period of time before he started his real preaching. And and what's interesting is that he did take initiation from Gorkishore Babaji, who was illiterate. And when he was told by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, he'd take initiation from Gorkishore Babaji. So when he went to see Gorkishore Babaji, who's very, very renounced, uh, the Babaji convinced him that he was not qualified to accept him as a disciple because he was, first of all, Babaji himself was illiterate. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very highly educated. So he convinced them that he should accept another guru that could at least read and write, because he couldn't read or write. So when he went back to see his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "So did you get initiated?" He said, "Well, no, he convinced me that, he was illiterate and that I was such a highly educated person, uh, it wouldn't be proper for me to take initiation from him." So Bhaktivinoda Thakur became upset. He said, "Go right back again, take initiation from him." So he went back, and a second time, again, uh, Gorkishore Babaji convinced him that he shouldn't take initiation. And then he went back, and then this time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "Look, you go back again and take initiation. If you don't take initiation, don't come back to me. You're not going to be my son anymore." So now it was real serious. So he goes back, and again, he tried to become, tried to surrender completely. The Gorkishore Babaji kept saying, "No, no, you're so intelligent, and I can't read," and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "Well, my dear Gurudev," he said, "if you will not initiate me, I will commit suicide." And then Gorkishore Babaji looked at him very, very carefully. Then he could see that he was serious. So he said, "Okay, I accept you as my disciple." And he only had one disciple. never took a lot of disciples. Maybe he might have had two Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or maybe one other, but that was it. The other one that he accepted was a real rascal, and not really a good person. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, obvious, was totally surrendered to Gorkishore Babaji. Okay. So the word nirasi is a very interesting word because it says one has to act on the order of the spiritual master, but should not expect fruitive results. And the example is given that the cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim 1 cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of Mai, or unto me. And when one acts, so Mai, so it says here in this verse, Mai sarvani karmani, sanyasyad yatma chetasa, nirasir nirmamo va yudyasva vikata jwara. So when it says Mai unto me, here it's saying in the purport that where is it? So it says that the Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls, therefore one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious is called Adhyatma Chetas. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person. There's a lot of people that would argue that. Yeah. But that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, that is the real purport of Mai, or unto me. So nothing belongs to everyone. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, we should only use things in the service of Krishna. That's what we learn in Krishna consciousness. We do not declare ourselves as proprietor, but we declare ourselves as servants of the Lord. But if we become or consider ourselves proprietor, then we'll make a lot of mistakes in our life. But if we consider ourselves as simply servants of the Lord, of Krishna, and use everything or dovetail everything that we have in the service of the Lord, then we're not touched by karma. We'll be karma free. But as soon as we say, oh, this is mine, and we insist that this belongs to me, then we get trapped by Maya, by making those type of ideas. So nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Krishna, even the body. The body belongs to Krishna. He gave it to us to be used in the service of Krishna. And if we use it in the service of Maya, then we're committing sinful activities. And most people don't think like that. Just like, when people talk about abortion. So women say, well, this is my body. And I can use it in any way I want. You can't tell me what to do. This is my body. Yeah, but they're trying to convince women not to have abortion. They're Christians, and the Christians, the women say, no, 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 this is my body. I don't want the government to be involved in my body. My body, my choice. That just shows the ignorance that people have today. But but the gopis, when they're talking to amongst themselves, they actually say, my body belongs to Krishna, and I can only use it to please the Lord. And that's the correct way of seeing the body. But if we say this is my body, my body, my body, then we are in the grip of Maya, and we can go on throughout the whole life thinking like that. And of course, we will not go back to Godhead. Okay, so are there any questions, comments? So it says, and when one acts, let's see, wait a minute. One has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person. That right there, everyone would argue I don't agree with that. Almost everyone. But that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the real purport of mighty or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, believing that everything belongs to Krishna, and when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. So that should be our motto. Nirmama, nothing is mine. But that's not enough. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, we should use everything in Krishna's service. Because everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing is mine. If we just say nothing is mine, that's like, half a hen.
Somebody can come and ask, give me your wallet. It is not yours.
Right. If it's not yours, give me your wallet. Exactly. But if you say, no, nothing is mine, everything belongs to Krishna. And now it's complete. Yes. Okay. So this consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there's any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off. In this way, one may become vigata jwara, or without feverish mentality, or lethargy. Lethargy, of course, is laziness. Feverish mentality means you're in the duality. You know that you should use everything in Krishna's service, but you have family attachments, and now you're caught in a let's say difficult situation, and you can't make your mind up. Should I take care of my family, or should I give everything temple, or should I do nothing? Or you get confused. So that means there's a feverish mentality or laziness. everyone according to his quality and position has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. Haribol, that's a major statement. If you want to actually be liberated in this lifetime, then we should engage all duties in Krishna consciousness. That will lead one to the path of liberation. Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Any question?
Clarification on this last line. It says this will lead one to the path of liberation.
Yeah.
But in Krishna consciousness, the primary goal is not the liberation, right? We're not looking. This is not the primary goal. It's maybe a byproduct.
Liberation from confusion. Let's see. So when you have material desires, then you hesitate in doing things or giving things, But when you're completely surrendered, then you're no longer confused. You only have one desire, and that is to please Krishna. When you have attachment, then okay, you want to please Krishna, but you want to please yourself also. So that dichotomy, that duality, is bewildering eventually.
So liberation from that duality.
Yeah. Then now you're on a one-track mind. You don't have to say, "Oh, should I do this or should I do that?" No, you should always do what Prabhupada has told us to do. Right? Then we don't have any doubts. Doubts are demons. So what do demoniac persons do? They put doubts in your mind. Right? Just like this one black devotee whose name was Murley, and he became initiated. He had his beads. He was chanting. He was a nice boy. But one day he met some black preacher that he knew previously, and the black preacher convinced Murley that his bead bag and beads was the devil. And he was so adamant speaking to Murley, and he told Murley, throw your bead bag in the garbage can. And he did it. It was sad because he was a nice boy, very nice boy. And then he stopped coming to the temple. And then when I saw him after about, I don't know, a month or so, I said, Murley, where are you? What are you doing? Because when I saw him, I could see he had gone back to what he was before, sleeping in the streets, and panhandling, begging. And he said, "Oh, well, this preacher told me to throw my beads into the garbage can because it was the devil." So, yeah, I mean, we have, that's why it's very dangerous to go off alone. And Murley had gone off alone, right? And he meets this preacher, and so we should never be alone. We should always be with other people, devotees. Never just be alone, because you never know who you're going to encounter or what's going to happen. So it's always good to, always be in groups of two. Just like, you have these uh, uh, young boys that go door to door.
Group.
They're
Two,
always
two,
in
two.
two, never one.
They're smart.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, their gurus tell them to do that, and they'll spend two years, doing that. All of them have to take off 2 years, and they're assigned. Like it's not just in one place. They're giving assignments all over the world. So someone has to go, let's say, to France, even though they don't speak French, and they have to go door to door for 2 years, part of this training.
So different countries as well.
Mhm. You don't need language.
Yeah. Such people came few times to our place as well, Maharaj. So
Yeah, they're nice people.
so I've observed like they're very nicely dressed up, very clean and very polite.
Did they ask you if they could like clean something, or
They didn't ask.
they didn't answer? Sometimes they'll go to people's houses that you want me to, you want me to take care of the trash, or do something, some kind of service for free. Yeah. So the what is their name? Who are the ones that do that? What's their name? It also has the Jehovah's Witnesses that come house to house. Have you ever heard of them?
Those are Christians?
No, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're demons. They're very pushy, and they're not really good. But the boys that come, there's two of them. They're nicely dressed, and they're very, you know, they're not against Krishna consciousness. So they come to your door, right?
So one time they were asking more detail, so I gave them little bit detail about what I follow, and they were patiently listening.
Yeah.
I didn't give too much detail, but little, just to give them the gist.
They're very respectful.
Yeah, very respect, and they were very patient and talking very politely.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll either, take the trash out or mow the lawn, or they're into seva service.
And considering their young age, they were young kid, like not a kid, but young people.
Yeah, they're usually about 18, and for 2 years they have to do that. And they can be told to go to different countries, even if they don't know the language.
Yeah. Jehovah's Witnesses are members of a US-based Christian evangelical movement who are best known for knocking on doors around the world, Bible in hand, trying to convert people to their beliefs.
But they're demons.
Mm.
They have their own Bible, but just so they can talk to people, they carry the Christian Bible, but they have their own Shastra.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're complete demons. They're not actually good people.
So whoever is coming here, door to door, who are they then? They are some different. They are not.
Yeah, they're not Jehovah's Witnesses.
But in general, Christians follow this.
Not all Christians.
A certain group of Christians.
Catholics also go, Maharaj.
Okay. Jehovah's Witnesses are different than they're nonsense people. Complete nonsense. Their whole philosophy is nonsense. Their philosophy was that God was going to come on what year? 1914, and the world was going to come to an end. And 1914 came and nothing happened. And then their guru said, well, yeah, something happened, but it happened in outer space. A big fight between the demons and the good guys. Then they made up some story why the world didn't come to an end.
In St. Louis, Catholics did a program called Witnessing Christ Door to Door.
Catholics.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and they basically sent teams of two
Yeah.
to each door. One will be giving the Bible and the other one will be praying. So,
No, but look up the Jehovah's Witnesses.
yeah, they are the ones who go door to door, Maharaj.
The Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah.
Yeah, they are the ones.
Yeah, but they're nonsense. They're complete nonsense.
Not everybody goes, but Jehovah's Witnesses are always going door to door and preaching.
Yeah.
Who are best known for knocking on doors around the world, Bible in hand, trying to convert people to their belief. Jehovah's.
And they make devotees all around the world. Okay, well,
Door to door evangelism tends to get a bad rap, and many Christians question its effectiveness. But in our experience, the people in our community have responded positively. At about half of the homes we visit, if someone answers the door and a positive conversation ensues.
so half the people that they see, they're able to talk.
They're engaging in a conversation.
Yeah. Okay, well, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All glories to Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Yeah.